I almost said it while I was burping.
I was looking at you. I was like, yo, he's definitely going to burp his name out.
All right, Nick.
All right. Welcome. Today we are tapping into our inner bowlers as we discuss the Big Lebowski. This is SOS Cinema. I'm Nicholas Pisconti.
I'm Andrew Seelig.
And I'm Steven Dwyer.
So the movie pretty much starts out as Jeffrey Lebowski, who goes by the name The Dude, is attacking his home because the attackers think that he owes them $1 million, but it's not actually him. It's a different guy by the same name. And because he has no money to pay them back, the intruder is pissed on his rug. So it pretty much starts out as him going to the different Lebowski guy to ask for his money for the pissed on rug because it made the room tie together.
Yeah, it really was a good centerpiece for sure. He's in the bathtub too, right? They shoved him to a bathtub.
He's on the toilet, I think.
Toilet, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'd be kind of pissed. Someone pissed on my bath rug too, so I'd definitely go to the dude that's owing $1 million and just, add that to his tab real quick. Be like, hey, you already owe $1 million? Pay for my rug.
Where's the money, Lebowski?
Yeah, so pretty much they go bowling a lot. It's him and his two friends, Walter and Donnie. And Walter is kind of a guy who kind of treats life like a movie, and Donnie is kind of a dumbass who asks a lot of stupid questions. And Donnie's kind of like the kicking bag or the punching bag of the group. They kind of just shit on him whenever he talks. They got some pretty good chemistry. They love to bowl. They take bowling extremely seriously, and overall a good time for the group. But
good quality fun time.
I mean, I've always wanted to get into bowling myself.
Donnie played by Steve Buscemi and Walter John Goodman, two great actors.
Very solid cast.
I think Phil Seymour Hoffman's in it too, right?
Philip Seymour Hoffman plays Brant.
Yeah. And also, is that dude still alive or is he dead?
He died. He died of a narcotics or opioid overdose, 2014. I was surprised by that.
Damn.
He's also in a movie, A Scent of a Woman, which is it's a really good movie. It's 6 years earlier with Al Pacino, and he plays the same type of character where he always looks like he's about to break out laughing.
Right.
And I think he was really funny because he always had a sarcastic look on his face, and he looked like he was having a good time.
Yeah, he was a great actor.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. He's also in all the Hunger Games.
He played Plutarch Heavensby.
I didn't know that.
I've heard that name a lot. Was it
Philip Seymour Hoffman?
I've heard that name a lot. I didn't realize it was that guy though. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, he's got a pretty deep movie.
Have you guys ever seen Synecdoche, New York?
No, I have not. What's that about?
Very strange movie. Philip Seymour Hoffman stars in it, and it's this guy who basically recreates a city just to make a play of his life. It's super meta and weird. You gotta watch it. It's pretty confusing, but I highly suggest.
So after he gets mad about his rug being pissed on, he gets called into Jeffrey Lebowski's office, the guy who's rich,
the real one, the one that owes money.
Yeah, and
not the dude.
Yeah, and he's not mad about the carpet. He calls him in because he wants him to be a courier. Or what's that called when he's...
Yeah, he wants him to drop off the money for him, right?
Because his wife, Bunny, has been allegedly kidnapped, and it's $1 million ransom, or she's going to be killed. I just love how, it's kind of it's 0 to 100 for this guy real quick. He's just a casual guy, but kind of a bum. And then all of a sudden it goes from, I'm just going to go bowling with my friends, to he's part of, some big, crime now. He's
he's in an operation now. He's got
a hostage situation.
Right.
He really does get sucked right into things.
But it's funny because he kind of keeps his whole personality of the dude the whole time too. He's when he's putting in those situations, come on guys, chill, He's still got that same vibe about him, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I definitely love his attitude, which kind of made the movie for me. Also, we watched the last episode. We watched Surf's Up, and he's very kind of a similar character as Big Z.
Also played by Jeff Bridges.
Yeah, so I was kind of surprised. I kind of thought that I kind of thought the Big Lebowski was more of a serious movie. It was kind of it was a comedy, but I think I had some substance to it. I think in this movie, the soundtrack really...
Soundtrack's phenomenal.
I think this is a perfect example about how a soundtrack
can make or break.
Amazing.
Because without this fire soundtrack, it starts with 1 second, I forget the name of it.
Well, while you look for it, I will say to go off of your point, this does show how like, so this is definitely a cult classic type movie. And I would say, to your point, I think it's solidified as a cult classic due to its soundtrack, which shows that like the songs and the music in movies like definitely guides the way that a viewer should feel while watching the movie and guides the experience of a film. And this is one of those classic examples, I think, where like, I don't know, in my opinion, I know Andrew has a different opinion, but for me, this movie wasn't really like super deep and didn't have that much substance to it, even though it was a great movie in its own way. But I think that, like Andrew was saying earlier, that the soundtrack of this film definitely carries it 100%.
Yeah, they open up with a song from 1946 called Tumbleweeds by the Sons of the Pioneers. And as soon as I heard that song, I kind of knew like the movie was going to be like kind of a vibey movie because
it had a really like old Western feel to it almost.
Yeah.
And like it starts with the stranger who we see later on in the movie. And he's the narrator. And he, like, when you see him, he's got this crazy mustache and he's dressed like a cowboy.
It's like very comically like overdone.
Yeah.
Sam Elliott, right, plays him?
Sam Elliott. And the way he describes like the beginning of the story when he like sets the background, he's like he's just kind of saying it like it's an old Western. He's like, every era needs its man.
Exactly.
And the dude is the man.
Yeah, like he fits the time and the place perfectly. And he really does. I feel like he's an early 90s guy. Like,
Is he supposed to be a stoner though? Like, I don't get like what he is.
He was he loves joints and White Russians. And
Yeah.
Yes.
there was a lot of dream sequences. I'm gonna get into that later, but he mentioned it once in the movie that like they were like acid. He has like acid flashbacks.
Okay.
So I think they're kind of a combination of a dream sequence and just like acid flashbacks. But he was like kind of
Well, he gets drugged at one point too.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. But I think the part where he mentioned that at one point. I'm not sure if those were acid flashbacks. But the part where he was knocked out on the floor by
Yeah.
Maud,
And he has that wacky dream.
yeah, when he's like flying through the sky. That was a I don't know, maybe part acid flashback, part just like a dream sequence. But I really enjoyed those parts. And also like they started with that song from 1946, but the title song was "The Man and Me" by Bob Dylan. And I watched the movie for the first time yesterday. I've watched it twice in total since then. I mean, but I've already ruined that song by playing it so much. This is a fire song, I just got to say. And if you stay tuned, I might be singing at the end of the podcast, so you might want to stick around.
Oh yeah. There's a great reason to watch till the end.
Definitely.
I'm going to try out my vocal cords. I haven't really warmed up yet, so we'll see what happens.
But yeah, I will say, I don't know, this movie definitely has like some aspects of like, kind of reminds me of like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas a little bit. And then kind of, I don't know, I mean, it definitely feels like that like cult classic kind of genre type feel. We'll be talking about it in a later podcast, but you'll see. I think this movie is honestly very similar to a movie called Bottle Rocket as well, where it's not necessarily like when you watch it for the first time, you're not necessarily like, wow, this is super deep or anything. But as you keep watching it, you uncover smaller little details that add to the bigger picture overall, which make it so timeless, I guess. So yeah, in those aspects, I think it's definitely really interesting. And also, I mean, honestly, like I can't really even think of any other themes in the movie, maybe other than the characters like have self-growth or something. But besides that, I really can't think of anything else.
Who learns anything about themselves?
Like that dude that's like creating, like, so he's like, this is gonna be like a movie or whatever. Like, so they go into it and like
the dude's like, no, Walter's just like, he just still thinks he's in Vietnam.
I guess.
And like he's still at the end, like he like in Donnie's like eulogy when they're spreading his when he's spreading his ashes, all he talks about is bowling, and then he talks about Vietnam, which like has nothing to do.
That's true, I guess. Yeah.
With Donnie's life, because Donnie did not go to Vietnam.
Yeah, that's facts.
And Donnie dies, so he doesn't get to learn too much about himself. And his
but through that
his friends
process,
were
I
always
guess.
like, Donnie, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but I guess he was like a part of the crew at that point. I mean, going out on the mission with them, maybe.
The dude is a father at the end, but like, is he a father?
He
just kind of planted his seed.
And like,
He did. He kind of just dumped and ditched.
I really liked it, like the whole thing with like when Donnie did die, it was kind of a nice like. I thought that was like very touching because he kind of like he was fighting with Walter, and he kind of like
Oh,
holds him
that's
close.
nice. A friend died.
No, like, but like him and Walter kind of got together, and they kind of like, even though Walter was annoying, the dude a lot, he still like they hugged a little bit. They kind of realized like, damn, our friend's gone.
Yeah.
And like
Brought them closer.
like life kind of just went on, and they ended up
Yeah.
going to bowling, and they obviously bowling is all they did, and they played Dead Flowers or Semi Dead Flowers by, I think it's by the Rolling Stones, but it was by
Townes Van Zandt.
I love that guy.
That's
very good.
Townes Van Zandt's amazing. That
Yeah,
song I
very
heard.
good folk singer,
Yeah,
and
I love that. I love that part.
Yeah, honestly, I mean,
Right after Sam Elliott asks for a nice ice cold sarsaparilla.
Yeah, I don't know. That was my biggest drawing thing, was the music in the movie. I think, I think without it, I mean, if they chose like any different soundtrack to like accompany the film, I think it would have flopped 100%. Just especially because, in my opinion, the plot's just like so not important.
I thought an interesting, like maybe a little like literary part of this movie was like the Big Lebowski. Oh, the dude and the Big Lebowski, like the actual Jeffrey Lebowski, they had the same name, and I think they were kind of polar opposites of characters. Like, the dude was kind of like very, like he was very go with the flow, had no job, he was unemployed, and really no worries, and didn't really try to hold a facade of being like this great person or anything. But the other, the actual like the rich guy, the big Jeffrey Lebowski, like he definitely had the facade of trying to be a rich guy, and I think he was kind of lack freedom because of this. And this could be a hot take. Do you think that the wheelchair was like a metaphor for like how he
Probably.
like was not free? Because
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it could be showing how like
Especially
even though
back in the 90s.
yeah, I don't know, it could be like even though he's poor or the dude's like poorish, he's living a freer, like you said, like a freer, better life. He's
free.
happier, and like with money becomes more problems. I guess more money, more problems.
Yeah.
So
kind of a ill chosen metaphor, not really PC, but yeah.
I
And
mean,
he finds out at the end that the Big Lebowski didn't even have that much money.
right?
It's all in like the mom's fund.
Yeah, and I thought that was funny. Obviously, like this, I don't think this would fly in a movie right now. But when what's his name? Walter.
When
picks him
Walter
up.
picks him up.
I've never more screwed in my life. This guy's fake, and I've seen this fly before. And just throws him on the ground.
Just classic Walter
And-
being like,
Right, it's just absurd.
he
bro.
always thinks he knows that like the craziest thing possible is about to
Right.
happen. He's like, I know this is gonna happen. I gotta stop it.
Perfect example of a great comedic relief character. He really he's the glue of the movie. Keeps you laughing for sure. So I would say honestly, I didn't even think the dude was funny. Like I don't
I don't
think
think he was supposed to be that funny though.
right.
I think it was just
Yeah,
like,
it's pretty dry.
But it's funny too because when you look up a lot of critics' reviews of this movie, they're like, "Yeah, this movie's a cult classic for so many reasons." One of the reasons they say is like the movie's hysterical, and like I mean, there's funny parts of the movie for sure, but I wouldn't say it's like hysterical.
I
mean,
mean, we're too young to understand.
there's a lot
it,
of funny
maybe.
parts, dude.
I think there's some good humor in it.
When Donnie says anything, there's like, "Shut up, Donnie."
Yeah, that
Walter
Walter's
always
just
we talked about this before, but Walter always brings up Vietnam. Like no matter what, he's like at the diner and he's like, "Hey, can you keep it down?" He's like, I fought in Vietnam for this, like the right to do and the dude's like, "This has nothing to do with Vietnam.
I'm gonna drink my coffee.
I'm gonna stay here and drink my coffee."
When they're doing the delivery of the money, and he's like, "No, we're keeping the money. Fuck these guys, okay? Give me the ring." He's gonna throw the phone out the window.
Yeah.
And the dude's like, "No, what are you doing, man? Like this isn't a movie. Like we gotta just make the deal." And he's like, "No, fuck that, dude." He just grabs it and throws it out the window.
Yeah, pretty ludicrous for sure. It's pretty litty.
Also, a couple scenes
It's
I really like
unhinged.
where when he like nailing the chair to the floor, and then like just shows the door open the other direction. I thought it was pretty funny. But I think that by far the funniest scene in the movie was when he just got beaten up by what was the guy, the doctor, the porn guy, the porn director.
Oh, Jackie Long and what? No, Jackie Treehorn.
Yeah, it was Jackie Treehorn,
Yes, Jackie Treehorn.
and he was
throwing a party. Pretty sick banger. They had like a bunch of big fires. There was some girl who was like naked, and they were just tossing her up in the air on
Yeah.
like a big sheet.
It's kind of like
really fun.
kind of like a